Hey everybody, welcome back, and I am talking about strategy, and now I am going to talk about pricing. Again, my name is Bobby Borg, and this is music marketing for the DIY musician, creating and executing a plan of attack on a low budget, and I am here to help turn your art into a more successful business. So what is pricing? I'm going to read the definition from the book, and we are now, by the way, on page 121. Determining the amount that your target customer is willing to spend for your products and services, and the amount that you are willing to charge is what devising a pricing strategy is all about, okay? Now, there's a number of different pricing strategies that exist. I'm gonna go through a couple of them. There's too many to cover on these short segments, so I'm gonna ask you definitely to go to chapter 11 rather, and look at them yourself. But let's go ahead and just take a look at some of the basic ones. Okay, so on 124, I talk about price within consumer boundaries. So what is that basically about? That is about looking out into the marketplace and asking yourself, what will the market bear for your particular product? So let's look at a record right now. Let's look at a CD. And when I mean a CD, I don't necessarily mean a physical CD. I also mean it could be 10 songs on iTunes, let's just say, for example, okay? Your record, all right? So a record right now, we know that people are used to paying around $10, right? What is the least amount they'll pay for it? $0. So that is our boundary. We're working within 0 and 10. Now there's different strategies that are involved in this, space right here. There is $10, and that would be if our goal was to get as much return on investment if possible. Then there might be, let's just say, for example, $7 if our goal is to, build awareness but also make a little bit of a profit. Then there is $5 if all we care about is building awareness and not making a profit. And then, of course, there is the ultimate, which would be free, and that would be really if all you're just trying to do is to get noticed and you're willing to take a loss. So it's a very, very simple strategy, but it's called price within consumer boundaries. Then there's something called pricing your bottom line costs. So what that is it's like, let's say, for example, you're making t-shirts, all right? Now, when you're making t-shirts, you don't just come up with some arbitrary number like, I think we'll charge $10 for our t-shirts. Because what you really want to do is you want to look at, well, how much did the t-shirts cost you to make? What is it per unit that it's costing you? It always surprises me that sometimes, people are charging less than what it cost them to make it. So what you have to do, I know this sounds very obvious, but you would be surprised. I mean, sometimes common sense isn't really so common, right? But what you have to do is you have to look at what it's costing you per unit to make, and then you have to price your product accordingly, depending on what you want your profit margin to be, okay? So if you're here and this is what the market bears, and this is what your costs are, right? Then this is what is called, your profit margin here. This is your gross profit margin, right? Your GPM right here. So how big of a profit do you want to make? Now, if you can find a way to lower your costs, then your gross profit margin gets bigger, unless you want to pass on that savings to the customer, right? Now you can charge less. So these are, very simple principles that you need to think about. Pricing your product for free. What do you guys think about that? How do you guys feel about people, not paying for your music at this stage in the game? I mean, I know a lot of you feel that it's a way to actually get your music out there and build awareness, and that is true. But at some point, you need to pay some bills. So, perhaps, what you could do is use free as a strategy at first to build awareness and try to build a need in your product, and then maybe you can start pricing accordingly, or maybe you can do a limited, time where you offer your product for free. But certainly, I suggest that anytime that you sell your product or put your product out there for free, you always let people know what it stands for in terms of quality. So for example, the way I might handle that is I might say, listen, usually my consultation fees are $150, but I am willing to do this pro bono for you because I really want to help you. So I'm doing it for free, I'm putting myself out there, but I'm making them aware of what I am worth. And that is a very, very important concept to think about. All right, a couple other things. Donation pricing. A band called Radiohead actually used that for a while, where they basically told the fans that they can pay what they want, and that created a lot of buzz for them. Disguised pricing. That is where you kind of shift the price and you make it feel for free. I'll give you an example of this. There's a club on Sunset Strip called the Rainbow. And what they do at the front door is they say, $10, please. And you're like, $10 to get into the club? And they're like, yeah, but here's 2 drink tickets at the bar. So then you think, wow, that's $5 drink? That is pretty reasonable. Okay, sure. And you pay the 10 and you get your 2 drink tickets and you go inside. So what just actually happened? They pretty much sold you drinks on the sidewalk. So in other words, they disguised the price of the admission, and by giving you free tickets to get in, it made it feel like, wow, now I'm getting something free, so you felt better about going in. So these are all strategies that you can think about using. There's tons of things in here. Pricing against your competition, using bundle pricing. That's basically what you do is when you take a bunch of products and you price them, and then when you put them all together into a bundle, you make it a little bit low, but at least so much so that you can still make a profit. And that entices people to buy it because they figure, wow, if I buy all of these, it costs this much individually, but it costs that much together, so I'll buy everything now. And that's a great strategy because it moves inventory and it moves your product out, and you never want to have a lot of product laying around because it could get damaged or stolen and so on and so forth. Okay, so you guys get the idea. Tons of pricing strategies in the book. Check them out. I think that you'll end up using some of these. Again, my name is Bobby Borg. I'm here to help you turn your art into more successful business. Hopefully you found this useful. Now let's go on to the next thing in strategy, and that is distribution, or what is called place. So come back. Thank you.